So we have the next edition of the Audacity is just way too high. Ladies, please take note of how much nerve, how much confidence they have while having a lack of grammar, how they just continue to talk about us women folk. Just take notes and, make this be a lesson to you to have just a little bit more confidence. Keith says, Elaine, by Black women showing how much they hate or have a disdain for Black men due to division, racism, and gender and standard of living, okay, is the reason a lot of Black men don't marry Black women and choose to not marry at all. So it's how a Black woman carry herself makes her not marriage material. A disrespectful woman shows a lack of class. Society has told Black women that this is a sign of strength and that she has a right to be angry. Black women have been programmed, but they are not the victims, like you said. It's a choice. They are willing participants. Women rely on family as support system more so than men. Men are taught to be self-sufficient. So the joke's on Black women for making themselves undesirable. So women are programmed to be angry, right? But also there is racism, gender, and standard of living issues that Black women have to face. But it's all Black women's willingness to be angry. These people, he kind of almost had it, but then he chooses to make it about things that we're doing, acting like this is how women are choosing to live. But whatever, we're not going to debate. So this is Keith. Maybe the people around him are angry because this is what Keith looks like, and Keith talks how he talks and just blabbers on with a lack of grammar. I don't know, but this is Keith. So I don't know this man's name. Maybe it's Eric. But Eric says a boundary of mine is no hawk to her, not going to talk to her. You cannot convince me that this man does not have to lift up his belly in order to see his, and it is so inappropriate to put this on your dating profile. But here's Eric doing it and just smiling there for it. And you know that he hasn't seen his man in a while simply by looking at the curvature of his second chin. The first chin, the curve is fine, but the second chin is where you start to understand the rest of his adipose tissue is probably out of control. Now we have Jacob. Jacob is coming through with some advice. I'm sure no one asked for his advice, but he's given some advice. He says, young ladies, some advice. What attracts a man attention doesn't always attract our respect. What turns a man's head doesn't always turn his heart. Ladies, please dress how you would like to be approached and talked to. Don't dress like a street vendor and expect to be treated like a queen. My advice to Jacob, if you're going to give young women advice, at least have the decency to put the advice through Grammarly. Have some decency to have some grammar. Don't randomly capitalize words that don't need to be capitalized. Learn how to use the apostrophe and S's. Learn how to give advice when asked for, Jacob. I honestly think that Jacob needs to be minding his waistline. Jacob needs to be checking to see if his pressure is good. How are your sugar levels, Jacob? You need to be worried about yourself. No women that are out and about during summertime, obviously it's summertime because they're all wearing shorts, is concerned about your advice, Jacob. Can you run a block without expiring? Sometimes these people really just need to mind their dang on business unless somebody asks for their advice. Why is Papa drinking this sugary laden alcoholic beverage? He needs to sit up and mind his sugar levels and get out of women's business. We got another PSA. He says, this is Gerald. He says, PSA, ladies, please do not wear open toe heels if your feet look like they've been 40 years of slavery. That ish is not right. I'm just saying, hashtag let's talk. Now, we should probably all check out the hashtag Let's Talk and see, what people are saying on this post because it was not sent to me. But Nefertiti Jones, who I know because she does troll these men, says, I'd be more concerned about sugar levels than open toe shoes. respectfully. And when she typed the word respectfully, she did not mean that respectfully. And you guys are going to see why she is bringing up his sugar levels. Prepare yourself. You cannot convince me that Gerald can see his own feet without like a mirror, a full length mirror. You cannot convince me that he can see his man without lifting up his flap. You can Why is he worried about someone's toes when I'm sure that his feet are probably on the verge of some amputations because of the sugar diabetes level? He really needs to concern himself with this postpartum. No, I can't even say postpartum. He looks like he's sitting up there baking like a koala bear or some kind of baby goat or something in there. There is a whole menagerie in this body that is baking, and he's probably baking all of these, this menagerie, so he'll have dinner for tomorrow. Just one dinner. Okay. Yeah, Gerald needs to just mind his own business and stop worrying about women's feet when he needs to worry about his whole being. Now I'm shifting gears. This is in some kind of group, LNS and everything anime. And this caption says, "Don't lie to yourself. If Pokemon were real, this be 98% of y'all." And it's looking at this pink gummy looking thing and imagining it's a girl's booty and, a very amply drawn girl's booty. And my girl, Arcadia, was like, "That's effing," it's probably disgusting because she's the one that sent me this, or maybe disturbing. "That's effing," and then you guys fill in the blank. Is it disgusting? Is it disturbing? You tell me. And some of the comments, Steven says, "Dittos would be the first endangered Pokemon." Corey says, "Nah, I'm playing safe and going with Baynet." LNS says, "My Ditto would be worn out." Gary says, "The Ditto, please, not again." Harry says, "Me looking for one in the black market because it suddenly became a protected species of Pokemon." Um, Karan says, "Laughs an evil ninja." Suika says, "I'd use my Ditto for political crimes." Scipio says, "F, it got weird in here." And he has this little thing eating a sandwich because, yes, this is weird. Art Remixer says, "You posting this like we supposed to be ashamed of it or something." Okay, so y'all know that the men's that are in here are probably kind of socially awkward or whatnot. But if this is the kind of things that are going through their mind, imagine what they are thinking about actual women, because this is what they're saying about a Pokemon. And like, then they get upset at women for not just throwing themselves at them, and women are the reason why they're lonely and all of that stuff. And this is how they talk. This is so beyond the pale that I don't even know what is going on. And social media, we were talking yesterday, and I did a video on this where it's talking about how so many women are opting out of having kids. And somebody in the post was talking about, it's social media and cell phones. And some of the women on my post were like, "You know what, maybe it is social media and cell phones, because we get to see into the brains of these people, and what we are seeing is not normal. And why would women want to pair up and procreate with these types?" So much effery to talk about, but I do want you guys to go ahead and weigh in on all of this. Which made you cringe the hardest? What made you chuckle? Do you have any witty comments for any of the people that were posted? Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.